As in the previous video, the sponsor for today's content is JList, an importer of Japanese paraphernalia and all sorts of other bullshit. I also have a code to go along with this that you can save 5% on your order. Just follow the link below in the description and check it out for yourself. And buy something. Just take a look. Just buy something. Buy something. Just click on anything. Just click one. Fuck you. Link is in the description. This commentary is going to be based on the ESA, otherwise known as the Entertainment Software Association, which for me is a nebulous organization. It's actually fairly unclear what they do or who they represent exactly, but they are based in Washington. They are in essence a lobbying group to some extent. I mean, do you know of a single politician that is pro-gamer, that is pro-gaming industry even? Do you know a single politician that regards gaming in any way that isn't either indifferent or negative? So that immediately raises the question what the ESA even does. But the other part of this, to say where we start with the ESA, is that they're also tied to the ESRB, otherwise known as the Entertainment Software Rating Board. I think that the industry should wholly regard the ESRB as an institution that serves no other purpose than to censor or demonize their work. Because when you pre-label content on the shelf prior to someone even playing it, you're already giving a person a reason not to play it. You're already giving a middle-aged mom a reason to look at a game that's utterly innocuous and tell her child, no, we're actually not going to buy that based on this organization's moral standards. It misrepresents what the game is actually about, even if it doesn't have an intention behind it, even if it's just stupid fun. This characterization by the ESRB misrepresents what this game is about. And if you're in the industry, if you are a publisher, this board restricts your audience. If you have a game that you're marketing to 18 and up, well, what's the problem if someone that is below the age of 18 wants to play the game? Nothing is going to happen. Nothing is going to happen to the person that is under the age of 18 that's going to be playing Call of Duty. There's not a fucking thing that any fucking fascist or pseudo-intellectual or moralist is going to be able to prove that this game is going to do to them. So what is the point of the ESRB other than something that was used in the early and late 90s to placate soccer moms and the religious right? The ESRB has no meaning and no utility anymore. It was a bone that was thrown at the religious right and Joe Lieberman and Hillary Clinton to shut them up, and since that point in time has served no purpose. The ESRB should be disbanded, it should be dissolved, and the industry should reject it. Getting back to the ESA, I'd also like to just take the moment for those of you that are in any way politically inclined and just say that the ESA has actually issued a statement on the Trans-Pacific Partnership and has embraced it. The ESA supports the Trans-Pacific Partnership. Well done. Fantastic representation. Thank you so much, ESA. Who does the ESA represent at all? Who do they represent? Who stands to benefit in any way from the Trans-Pacific Partnership other than the largest corporations and the wealthiest people in the world? And this is who they stand by. This is what they embrace. The ESA does not represent gamers. The ESA is bad for gamers. They don't even represent the majority of publishers or in any way the developers, right? They don't support the people working to make these games. But really, how is this going to help the publishers, other than maybe the largest out there, to put their thumb and squeeze the working man just that much more? And that's who the ESA is backing, is that party, those people, not gamers, not the developers, not the creators, not the artists. They don't give a shit about them, but hey, that's enough exposition by myself, right? You're probably wondering, let's get to their critique, their press statement about Anita Sarkeesian's whole little cyber violence event at the UN. Let's get to that. So this is from October 6 of 2015, from their office in Washington, D.C. The Entertainment Software Association, otherwise known as the ESA, today strongly criticized opinions and outdated research on video games in a new report from the United Nations entitled Cyber Violence Against Women and Girls. Specifically, the United Nations report utilizes hyperbolic, outlandish, and outdated notions of video games and gamers. They should say the ESA is the trade association representing the U.S. video games industry. Really? You represent the U.S. video game industry. Well, that sounds actually correct. That to me sounds like it's accurate for your organization, because where the fuck were you when games were being put out that didn't work? Where the fuck were you when EA was publishing a sequel to one of their most recognized fucking franchises that didn't work for days after being released? Where were you then? Where the fuck were you in 2013 when SimCity was released? I don't remember any fucking press release then criticizing EA. So, do you even represent in any way the consumers? Why should I give a shit about you? Why should anyone think about the ESA in any way other than, say, Koch Industries, one of their think tanks? What really separates the ESA and a Koch brothers funded think tank? What's the real difference? Because in my mind, there isn't much. What would change in the rhetoric of most politicians? What would change in terms of developers or games specifically, or any franchise or any gamer? What would change if the ESA was gone tomorrow? Nothing. So what does it actually mean? What actually happens when the ESA criticizes or condemns this, which they didn't even have the balls to use that word specifically? The report cites an opinion article written in 2000 which is rife with antiquated views from noted and debunked anti-video games figures, and quoting Landon LaRouche and his wife Helda Zepp LaRouche. The UN source material cites Zepp LaRouche, The Mark of the Beast, America's Children Are in Mortal Danger, in which she mistakenly reports that children as young as 2 abuse digital entertainment. Medical professionals specifically have declined repeatedly to pathologize video game use. This is an uninformed, misguided, and unfortunate report. If the overall issue was not so serious, it would be laughable that the UN is citing this work. It is willful ignorance to utilize such incredibly outlandish and outdated data, said Michael G. Gallagher, President and CEO of the ESA. ESA strongly supports empowering women and minorities and creating an inclusive digital environment that welcomes all perspectives. Yes, except for any that disagree with anyone that happens to be a middle-class white woman. You're using what I've already quoted as a flaccid fucking argument. However, the UN does this important issue a great disservice and undercuts its credibility by spreading ridiculous stereotypes and false opinions. Of what? That's the issue here, you fucking old cunt. What are they saying? And how long have they been saying it, by the way? This is the first thing that I've heard from the ESA regarding this, and it's hardly the only time that this slander has been spread around. Only now, when it's reached the UN, do these cunts have anything to say. Only when it hinders, perhaps, the bottom line of the top earners in the industry, to maybe then we give a shit. Maybe when it's going to cost the corporations money. Maybe that's when we give a shit about what's happening and what's being said and where. Numerous medical professionals, researchers, and courts all debunk the fundamental thesis of their argument. In tearing down what argument? In tearing down similar faulty research, the U.S. Supreme Court specifically ruled that psychological studies purporting to show a connection between exposure to violent video games and harmful effects on children do not prove that such exposure causes minorities to act aggressively. Yes, that's true, said the organization supporting the ESRB. Yes, very well said, Mr. Mike Gallagher, the hack Beltway dickhead. Where were you assholes when we were fighting the religious right? Were you standing there saying, oh yeah, we're going to support gamers, we're going to support the industry? Where are you now? They are using your data, your research, quote unquote, your nebulous crap studies. Those are the numbers they're using to prove their points, or attempt to. That's what they're using. You could have come out and changed your fucking studies and done so to prove by genre who is buying what. Prove who actually is involved in the fucking market. Who's actually involved in the games making process. Who's involved in the industry specifically, whether it's journalists or if it's developers or if it's marketing, corporate suits, or who's playing the fucking games. You people have all the fucking power to change the narrative, and yet you don't. You give out flaccid fucking press releases. And I know that people can say to me that my tone is inappropriate, that my tone isn't professional. You know what? I'm some asshole on YouTube. I'm not a fucking beltway organization that claims to represent others. I'm not someone that annually publishes numbers that are being utilized to slander other individuals that have done nothing wrong. The ESA, on the other hand, is a fucking organization based in Washington that claims from its own press release to represent the industry. Where the fuck have you idiots been? The ESA, again, the ESA, offers a wide range of services to interactive entertainment software publishers, including conducting business and consumer research, providing legal and policy analysis, and the advocacy on the First Amendment. That is such a fucking joke. Intellectual property and technology/e-commerce issues, managing a global content protection program, owning and operating E3. Wow, I didn't even know that. I didn't even know the ESA operated E3, but now it's making a whole lot of sense. And representing the video game industry interests in federal and state government relations. Blah, blah, blah. I'm just going to say this for the last time before I finish this video, because I'm sure that it's going long. The ESA is a worthless organization. It is a worthless organization that in no way stands for the consumer. All it represents, and only on a marginal basis, does it actually represent the video game industry. Because one of the issues that we have in terms of not just the industry, but the community at large, okay, so the community involving the subculture that is gaming and the industry, one of the problems we have is the fact that the gaming press at large and a body of ideologues actively slander us every single day. Every single day there's articles being printed, there's videos being made, there's live television coverage slamming, condemning, and slandering gamers, the consumers of these products. And what does the industry and its so-called representatives do? They do nothing. Find another hobby where everyone is either capitulating to fascists or just not giving a shit and exploiting the consumers. Find me another hobby where it's this bad, to where the shit is this limp-wristed about what is being said about the industry, to where the industry cannot even react to completely insane shit being uttered at the UN about the industry specifically. Find me a hobby this fucking lethargic about defending itself. And that's all I have to say.